All right, everybody, here we go. Click, 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 and here we go. Here's the Benny.
Presenting Benny Goodman and his music.
There we are then. Hey, everybody. As you can see, this is previously recorded. I'm on the road today. So I'm recording this yesterday. All my turkey's in the oven. We're doing Thanksgiving a day early, and I'm kind of having to travel a bit. Well, good evening, one and all. Hey, Chris. Hey, Karen. Hey, Laura. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. Hey, Joanne. Hey, Bob. Hey, Larry. All the people I assume are probably out there. I don't know. You never know who's going to show up on a holiday like this.
In the urban room of the Congress Hotel in Chicago. And first of all, one of Irving Berlin's greatest hits.
Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's had some good meals. By the time you see this, I'll have had a couple of them. Just got my own and the one that we're traveling to now. Welcome to Thanksgiving Leftovers. This is a thing that I recorded yesterday. Just kind of showing some highlights from last week's trip. Why I had to do this last week, what I was off doing. Well, specifically, I was watching Bob Dylan cover Billy Joel. Right around the time this was going. Well, welcome along, everybody. I don't know how long this one will go. I didn't really time it out like I might. It's a special holiday edition. Restream made me pay more than I expected last week to do to post something ahead of time, so might as well do it now. I love this picture over on the left. This is like MysteriaCon 1949. I mean, tag yourself in this picture. Welcome along, everybody. I'll go find Miles in a second here. We gotta have Miles. Welcome along to Thanksgiving Leftovers. We'll get started at 8 o'clock. Pretty much 8 o'clock sharp this time. Normally we wait a couple extra minutes, but tonight, well, I'm previously recording, so I'm just trying to ramble here for 10 minutes with no external stimuli. It's rather a thing. Today is kind of Thanksgiving observed in our house. I've been cooking all day and watching Get Back. It's kind of become a Thanksgiving tradition for me. I just have the 8-hour Beatles Get Back in the background for hours. Ken Womack's new biography of Mal Evans, who worked with the Beatles and appears in Get Back, just came out. I haven't gotten a chance to wade into it yet. I think on the car ride tomorrow, we're going to start at least listening to Barbra Streisand's autobiography, which is 48 hours long. But okay, I bet that's good stuff. It's usually what I do on the longer car trips. I need something I don't have to focus on, but can just listen to and zone out of. So these drives to Cleveland, that drive is just brutal. There's nothing interesting between here and Cleveland. Beyond here lies nothing. One of several 5-hour drives. We got another Cleveland one coming. Got an Evansville, Indiana drive coming. Good thing I got those brakes fixed. Alright, welcome along, everybody. This is previously recorded. I'm recording this yesterday, as I will be on the road doing I don't really know what. Family stuff in Cleveland. But a lot of times there I just kind of have to just sit there helplessly, wondering what I should be doing. There's really not much I can do other than sit and wait. But I will try to broadcast something tomorrow around 10. I will be on the road, but I'll pop on and say hello as we drive along. I'll tell you an amusing story that I'll think of on the way. This routine is important to me. I know it's important to a lot of you, and it's important to me. Let me go find Miles here, everybody. Oh, this is easy. Hey, Miles. You gotta come say hi to the people, okay? I know, it's not the time we would normally do this, huh? Let's make this a little bigger so you can all see Miles properly. There we go. With all my heart. Fulfilling your Thursday contract a day early, Miles. You can take tomorrow off. You're all I'll ever care for. Back you get, Miles. I would write a song the day you came along. I just love this picture. I found this picture here in the Trinity Church archives. These are some descendants of General John Lamb, noted Revolutionary War veteran and anti-federalist, standing by what they believed to be his grave. Nobody really knows where his grave is, but anecdotal evidence and family stories indicate that it is this otherwise unidentified one. I just love this shot. It's kind of cleaned up and sharpened. I love this old lady in a graveyard shot. Mystericon 1949. Alright, we'll get started in just a few minutes here. A couple of, a big biography of General Lamb says that according to Lossing's Pictorial Guide to the Revolution, he is in the southwest corner of Trinity Church. I could never find that in Lossing's. The Lamb file at Trinity Archive says they also could not find that in Lossing's. Nobody knows why we think he's in the southwest corner where this grave marker is. But it's as likely as anywhere else. It's kind of one of those situations where, well, it's his now. Nothing like in Savannah, where they dug up the bones that one high school teacher kept in his living room until the societies decided, fine, that's Button Gwinnett. It may not have been Button Gwinnett's bones when he was alive, but they're his now. He would have been hanging out with Francis Lewis, who is buried here someplace, also not in exactly a known spot. Welcome along, everybody. We'll get started properly in just about 2 minutes here. It's kind of the pre-show hangout, as always. So welcome along. This is going to be the Thanksgiving Leftovers edition. I threw together a quick presentation about stuff that I found in the archives last week in New York. If you really want Chicago connections, I can stretch and find some. Well, you know, sometimes we go on the road here at Mysterious Chicago. We have to brave New York pizza. Well, it's all right. Welcome along, everybody. Hey, yes, that's me. I'm the guy from Mob Boss, which, as of this recording, I still have not seen. Welcome along, everybody. Previously recorded. I'm just kind of guessing who might be out there. Kristen, behave. Bob, you too.
They all loved it. They all loved those bastards when they played by Benny Goodman. And now another one just in the same vein.
I might actually be able to pop on. I have no idea what I will be doing tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Well, 9 Eastern. Give it just another moment or so here, then we'll turn off the Benny and we'll do this thing properly. I might pause in the middle to go baste the turkey a little bit more. Or try to clean up the kitchen a little bit, which has totally gotten away from me today. Wah, 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 wah. All right, welcome along, everybody. We're going to start this off properly in just a minute here. A little bit earlier than normal. Normally I wait till about 8:03, but tonight, this being a leftovers thing. All right, I think that's been a little over 10 minutes since I got started, so it should be properly 8 o'clock now on your clock. Welcome along, everybody. I'm Adam for Mysterious Chicago Tours. I've been a tour guide and historian here in Chicago for going on 20 years now. I've got about a dozen Chicago history books out. I'm on the History Channel and the Travel Channel all the time. I am, in fact, incredibly famous. Author of such really, really well-selling books as Mysterious Chicago, the Book, H.H. Holmes, The True History of the White City Devil, Murder Maps USA. In fact, there's one story that I really wish I could have worked into this. I just didn't think to at the time. But I can actually start with that today. A lot of what we're going to be doing today is talking about stuff that I looked up or researched while I was in New York last week. So to start with, in fact, why don't we move down? Why don't we check out over at St. Paul's Churchyard, right next to the World Trade Center? This is a marker for the tomb of Ezra Weeks. Now, one day Ezra Weeks had his brother Levi over, and shortly thereafter, Levi's girlfriend, Alma, was found dead in the bottom of a well. Levi was accused of having murdered her. Ezra hired Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr to team up to defend his brother in court, and they actually did so successfully, he was off the hook. Her body was found in the well. Now, here's the really cool thing. The old Manhattan well sat in what is now Soho, and it was forgotten about for a number of years, but then when they were digging out a basement on Spring Street, they found it. It's still there. And what they ended up doing was this clothing store on Spring Street in Soho just built all of their men's department around it. This is a place called COS, C-O-S. And down in the basement of COS, you turn around and all of a sudden, there's a 1799 murder scene. This is the old Manhattan well, still intact. And this is where Alma Sands' body was found, and it has naturally, since then, become the subject of numerous ghost stories. Alma's ghost is said to walk around in this basement. I did not see her myself, but I didn't stick around that long. I was just kind of wandering around, awkwardly filming, and looking at how expensive their sweaters and t-shirts were. It's Soho prices. That's gonna come out to a bit. We'll back up here a little bit. I'm just going to show some of the cool stuff that I found inside of the archives. This is the marker for the Gautier family vault, which is off to the side of Trinity Church. And down below, it's kind of honeycombed. There are about 91 vaults underneath the ground in Trinity Churchyard. But in the archives, I found this picture from when they were having to move everything around in the 1960s. But also, in the Gautier file was this really interesting thing. Now, in 1750, there was a big fire that nearly burned Trinity Church to the ground. 25 years before one actually did burn Trinity Church to the ground in 1776. 26 years if you really want to get pedantic with me. Everybody thought in 1750 that Trinity Church was history. The steeple was starting to catch fire, but Mr. Gautier climbed up the steeple and put out the fire with his hat. He actually saved the church that day and was given a reward in silver coins later on, but he had those coins melted down and made into an illustrated bowl showing off his feet. And they had a picture of that bowl in there. I've had a hard time finding it. There's a lot of references to it online, but finding a good shot of it I've just had some trouble with. But you can see this illustration of fighting the fire out in the fire truck, with a little thing at the bottom that says, "This happened, Feb 23rd, 1749/50. Now, the 1749/50 thing is interesting. It's a kind of archaic practice that I don't run into very often, but is really always fascinating when you see it. It's what's called dual dating. Now, England did not switch over to the Gregorian calendar until 1752. By 1750, everybody knew it was coming. But officially before that, New Year's Day was March 25th, 9 months before Christmas. Traditionally, in the old Anglican calendar, that was the day that Mary heard about Jesus first, so that was the beginning of the year to them. So newspapers had already kind of made the switch. Like, newspapers reporting on this fire all said February 1750, but officially it was still 1749 in England at the time, and in the English colonies. So with everybody kind of knowing that it was coming, they started using this slash, like 1749/50. Because it being February, it was still technically 1749 since it hadn't gotten to March 25th yet. Now, you even see this on a gravestone. I only know of one of the gravestones at Trinity or St. Paul's that has this, but it's a guy named Gideon Harper. Now, you could be excused for whoever carved this just not knowing which March the 13th this guy actually died, 1749 or 1750. But really, it's just that period between January 1st and March 24th when nobody could really agree on what year it was. So Gideon Harper, especially with the backwards end there for reasons unclear, you would not have to wonder if maybe this was all just one big typo, not to mention the sevens look like they started out as threes. But 1749-50, it wasn't quite March 25th yet, so some people would have called it 1749. Some people were ahead of the times and calling it 1750. It's fascinating stuff to me. Now, I have mentioned all of these vaults, 91 vaults underneath. I was one of the things that I really hoped to find while I was down in the archives at Trinity and St. Paul's last week were pictures of the vaults. And there were some. This is one of the vaults underneath the stairs that they were in the process of photographing at the time. I'm not going to show you the gruesome ones today. We'll maybe save that for the podcast or something. But on the inside, well, this is one of the newer ones. In the 1960s, they built a new wing that went over some of the old vaults, and in the process, they moved everybody over. There's a whole section in the north side that's made up entirely of vaults that used to be on the south side. But they didn't just move the entire vaults over, they just built new ones and built new ones out of concrete and put whatever they found in the old vaults got moved over. Most of the time they could fit it all into one box. It had pretty much rotted away by then. But this is one of the vaults that they opened just about 20 years ago. So this is what it looks like now in the north side, and they opened up one of the vaults. They dig about 2 feet of earth down. And then right here there'll be a big stone slab that weighs about 1,300 pounds. And if they lift that away, you see this pit going down and a ladder that can go down below. If you really look close here, you can see a little bit. You can actually see down below is the coffin of Lord Drummond, Viscount Drummond, who left his inheritance in England to marry a house servant who reportedly was his own governess, and just moved to New York and worked a bunch of name tag jobs, the equivalent of name tag jobs throughout the mid-1800s. Eventually, his friend Mr. Ireland let him be interred in his family vault here at Trinity. Now, some other things. One of the things I was really looking for was to try to find out if there was a vault for Captain James Lawrence. Captain James Lawrence is from the War of 1812, famously said, "Don't give up the ship," right before he died. They did, in fact, give up the ship. I can go on a long time about Captain Lawrence. The guy was honestly a real jerk. But he was brought to Trinity Church along with one of his lieutenants who died. They were initially buried in Halifax, but they were brought here to Trinity. And this is what the monument looked like originally. It was this old broken column. But it started to wear away very quickly. You can see here, even in the illustration here, you can see that some of the outside stone has chipped away, exposing the brick down underneath there. Now, that's probably not intentional. It's supposed to look broken, but I don't think it was supposed to look that broken. And newspapers every now and then would write about what a sad state of affairs this was, that this war hero's monument was starting to crumble. Others said, yeah, every time there's nothing important going on, newspapers just make a big deal out of the crumbling pile. Well, now there is a big new one. In 1849, they replaced this with a much larger vault. And then in 1865, his wife died, over 50 years after he did. And the reason I was trying to find if they were in a vault or what is by the time his wife died in 1865, they had outlawed in-ground burials at this place for decades. Now, when Eliza Hamilton died in the 1850s, they had buried her next to Alexander. That was generally said to be the last interment there, but I think that Julia Lawrence might be buried as well. It's just, even within their file, I couldn't find anything that said where or exactly what the nature of it was, but they don't appear to be in a vault. It does appear to be in-ground burials. There was also a thing noting from 1813, when the bodies were first moved, that when the ship got to Massachusetts, they had opened up one of the coffins to be identified, and somebody said, "That's not Mr. Ludlow, his lieutenant. I recognize the ring on that guy's finger. That is a ring that I gave to another guy. That guy who, incidentally, was Jewish." So, assuming that was all correct, there's actually a Jewish burial at Trinity Church, but under the name of Mr. Ludlow, which is not, well, hard to know from just one stray newspaper article from back then, but it's something to consider. It's more than we've got, really, on one of the other things that I was hoping to find more data on, which is, to wit, the Livingston Manor Vault. Now, this is one of the new ones that they replaced, but as you can see by the sign right beneath me here, this is usually said to be where Angelica Schuyler is, of Angelica, Eliza, and Peggy, of the Schuyler sisters. Now, in 1899, there was a document from the Daughters of the American Revolution that said that Angelica was here in the Livingston Manor Vault. The Livingstons at one time were a very, very powerful New York family. Angelica's grandmother was a Livingston. So there's some connection here, but we really don't know what made them think that she was in this particular vault. It's officially for Robert and Walter Livingston, but Robert is actually buried at Livingston Manor about 100 miles upstate. Walter might be here, but there's no record of it. That's really Robert Fulton, the steamship inventor who married into the Livingston family, is known to be in here. But for the most part, they don't really know that much. Based on what the records they had, as of 1868, there should have been about 4 coffins in here. Just 4 that they knew of. However, so one of the things that I had to look up while I was there was the vault condition report. 1868, they went around and opened up all of the vaults to see what was in there. And they didn't really list very much other than just the number of coffins and what condition they were in. Like over here you can see, this one's the Livingston Manor one, you can see a little bit there. No, that's the Elizabeth Keene you can see in the middle there. Elizabeth Keene, 1 leaden coffin, buried 1807. Fairly early for a lead coffin, really. But just the one still there as of 1807. That's one that they didn't move and probably have not opened since 1868. But the Livingston Manor entry mentions that, as I said, there should have been 4 or 5. There were 12. So at least 8 unidentified people in here. They found a couple of coffin plates later that they could use to maybe identify who some of these people were. But even with some of those, there are about 7 in this place that are not really identified. Now, this doesn't necessarily prove that Angelica Schuyler is here, but not everybody who is known to be, is thought to be there as president accounted for. There are about 7 unidentified ones. And now and then you do find more interesting stuff, not usually in the vault condition report itself, but really in the vault records that made notes of things after 1868, especially in the 1960s, when they looked into all of them and moved them over to this part. And that one had this one interesting thing. In one of the vaults, I won't tell you which one yet, but it said when the vault was opened, 1964, it was found that 2 cannons had been used as coffins. I'm going to read that again. It was found that 2 cannons had been used as coffins. So this is a vault that is known to have 4 people in it. 2 of those people are military heroes. One of them was a guy who was in the Battle of New Orleans, in fact. But in 1868, it said that there were 4 interments, all badly decayed. So my guess is that when they first built this vault, they knew it was going to be for military people, so they put cannons in there as kind of a decoration. Then in 1868, everything was pretty much decayed, so they just put some of the rubble into the cannons. And then in 1964, that just appeared as though they had used these 2 cannons as coffins. Still, this is just fascinating to see this stuff. Other times you see things in there, such as just interesting examples of handwriting. Here you got some 1880s handwriting. Down below it backs up a little bit to 1870s style handwriting. And then 1970s handwriting. This, I don't know, this looks like a kid's handwriting from the 70s, honestly. It's not like they had stopped teaching cursive in 1978. At a party the night that I took a picture of this, there were people complaining that, these kids today don't learn how to write in cursive. I was like, yeah, and I didn't learn how to milk a cow either, so. All right, one more quick thing here. So there's also this one thing. This was apparently found in the John Jay papers and sent over here. It was about the vault of Matthew Clarkson, who was a Revolutionary War hero and later one of the most strong anti-slavery voices in New York. But here it details what was inside of the vault in the 1830s, and it's just arranged into piles. First pile, second pile. M. Clarkson is on the top of pile number 2. Now, most of these people I can trace to somebody in the Clarkson family, except in pile number 3 on the ground is someone named Nancy Brown. I got no idea who that is. Might have been a household servant or something, who knows. There's also, down in pile number 5, there was a box containing 8 skulls. So even in the 1830s, a lot of this had already started to crumble. But this is all stuff that's very, very useful to me in trying to put together who is where and when and what it's like inside of these vaults. Because that's something that really burns in my curiosity is like, what's going on in these places? What does it look like in there? And that's just kind of a sample of some of the stuff that I found. It's fairly early. Let me show you guys some other cool pictures while I am at it. Let's see here. Research. Not that one. All right, here's some cover possibilities. Now, I already posted for you guys this shot. Showing St. Paul's with the World Trade Center right behind it. That's I might be a little bit too busy to use as an actual book cover, but it's not eventually going to be up to me. I know one possibility is they're definitely going to want the Alexander Hamilton Monument on the cover. Trouble is, the background of that is a white building. So it's a white-on-white situation. But this is my favorite picture of the Hamilton Monument that I've got. So, the shoe store is no longer there. But I love this thing at this shoe store sign in the back. We are probably the lowest priced in the city. So if you angle the shot just right, you get Alexander, Eliza, and the not entirely confident shoe store. Other options include this one. I love how this one shows like one spooky old gravestone. You can see Hamilton back there. You can see this unidentified one behind that, and you can see the statue of John Watts behind that. Plus some nice autumn leaves and some skyscrapers. I like it when we can mix like skyscraper views in with the gravestones for the cover. Another possibility, the Adam Allen comedian grave. I love that one. You can see some skyscrapers behind that too. This is the gravestone of Adam Allen, the comedian, that says he had many good qualities, though as he was a man, he had the frailties common to man's nature. So suggestive. There's also this shot, which shows the one that has a secret code that deciphered says, "Remember death." I like the way that one was lit. Or another shot with Mr. Watts. Once again, showing skyscrapers, trees, and a whole lot of graves. So that is some of what I was on about last week. Now, I know this was kind of a shorter tour, but we are going to put the Benny Goodman on and just hang out for a little bit, just like we always do anyway. So that, everybody, is some of what I was doing. I'm going to kind of leave this running while I go check on the turkey for a second. But thanks, everybody. Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Chris. Now, really, I got nothing to plug right now. We're kind of done with the in-person tours for the season. I do have, in January, I will be doing a talk on Chicago and pop music as part of the Chicago for Chicagoans lecture series. Put that up for a second while I go check on the turkey really quick.
Music by Benny Goodman is being presented from the Joseph Urban Room of the Congress Hotel in downtown Chicago. And now Benny Goodman's arrangement of the Bugle Call Rag.
Alright, tricky to do a full-length tour when you gotta pace the turkey every half an hour. I'm sure others of you have your own way of making turkey, but that's how I do it. Alright. Hard for me to react with no real stimuli here. I'll just show you, Miles is back sitting over on the couch again, as he has been. Once again, this is previously recorded. I recorded this yesterday, because I have no idea what I'm going to be doing at 9 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, 8 o'clock Central. So I thought I'd get this out ahead of time. I'll make for a slightly shorter one than normal. Next week, we should be back to normal. I'm saying should, because everything kind of in flux right now. Kind of taking it a couple of days at a time. All right. I hope you've all been behaving over there in the chat. I might have joined you if I'm not doing anything. Last week I thought about it, but my phone was in one of those pouches that they give you to put your phone in. Like this. So it was in one of these, so I couldn't get out and join the chat until I was outside and out of the concert altogether. But this is where I keep old ticket stubs now.
That was the Bugle Call Rag, Benny Goodman's own arrangement. Now, the popular tune, Thanks a Million.
Alright, hope you're all behaving in the comments there. The microphone might have been running a little bit hot today. It wasn't picking up quite as loudly on Zoom when I was talking to the TV show yesterday. Which I think of it pretty well. It's just so hard to schedule things right now. Let me show you what I got back from the frame shop. Check this out. Frames of this was October 9th and 11th of 1995. Very good Monday to Wednesday. I don't remember anything about the school week anyway. My first Bob Dylan concert and David Bowie with 9 Inch Nails. I picked up this frame because it's like, kind of got that H.R. Geiger 9 Inch Nails vibe, but also looks like Dylan's hair. It's a good mix. Really cool matte job too. Like how they gotta kind of have them floating there. I hope we'd like to freak each other out. At the time, Bob Dylan's debut album was 33 years old. Currently, 9 Inch Nails' debut album is 34. Well, alright everybody. And that's enough just screwing around for me. Thank you for joining me for these Thanksgiving leftovers. I hope you've all had a good Thanksgiving. I am out on the road. Possibly I've joined in on the chat here. Washing my own stuff is rough. But alright. Thank you for joining me. We'll have some new events to announce very soon, I'm sure. But until then, everybody, stay safe and stay strong. And of course, if you can, keep staying spooky and being thankful that you can.